Someone opened a box that had been found at a temple in the mountains. The thing inside did not climb out. It did not make a sound. It simply began to draw closer, little by little, to the people who had looked at it. This happened back when I was still working in demolition. From the Ghost Files. That was 3 years ago, in late autumn. Back then, I worked for a company that surveyed shrines and temples before demolition. We were sent to an old temple in a northern mountain valley. The families that had once supported the temple were gone. Its resident priest had been gone for years. Before the snow came, the whole place was supposed to be cleared away, buildings and all. The temple grounds were strangely dim. I remember the roots of the cedar trees. Around them, the ground was black, as if wet, though it had not rained. A co-worker was checking behind the main hall. He called me over, and I went into an unused side room. Paper had been pasted over the seams of the wooden sliding door. It felt as if that room alone had been sealed off for a very long time. The smell reached me before the dust did. It smelled like damp incense that had gone cold long ago. At the back of the room, on the floor, there was a single long wooden box. The floor there looked darker than the rest, as if it had sunk. The box was long enough for a person to lie inside. Several rusted nails had been driven into the lid. On the front was a torn white paper talisman. Most of the ink had faded. All I could make out, I think, was Taisho Era, July, and resealed. That was about it. No one joked after that. When we contacted the site supervisor, he said he would ask an elderly monk who had known the temple years ago. For the time being, we moved the box into a temporary prefab office. We locked the office, leaving the box there so it would be out of the way. While we carried it, we heard nothing moving inside. None of us said a word. But even though 4 of us were carrying it, there were moments when the weight suddenly disappeared. Not once, twice. The next morning, on the way to the site supervisor called me. His voice sounded strangely dry. All he said was, "Get here quickly." When I arrived, people had gathered in front of the prefab office. Beside the entrance, 2 young workers were sitting on the ground. It was not that they looked pale, it was as if their expressions had been wiped clean from their faces. When I called their names, only their eyes turned toward me, but they did not answer. Sometime during the night, the 2 of them had apparently opened the box. A pry bar lay on the floor. The lid was propped against the wall. I looked in from the doorway. For a while, I had no idea what I was seeing. At first, I thought it was an old Buddhist statue, a dried-out torso. A shape curled in on itself, as if holding its knees. But its head had more than one face. There was a face on each side of the head. They were the same size. There were 2 pairs of arms, too, They lay over one another in front of the chest, as if tangled together. Its texture was too close to flesh to laugh off as a fake, but it was too precisely formed to simply call it human remains. And more than anything, it was the two faces. They were not faces in pain. They looked as if they had finally found something. At least, that was what I saw in them. Before noon, an old monk who knew the temple arrived with his son. The moment he saw the box, he shouted, "Who opened it?" His voice had a force I would never have expected from someone so old. We explained what had happened. The monk looked at the two workers from a distance. Then he said softly, "It may already be too late." After that, none of us could bring ourselves to ask him anything else. He sat down in front of the box and began chanting sutras in a low voice. It looked less like a cleansing rite than an effort to push something back. The monk struck our backs and shoulders hard with a rolled sutra scroll. Then he said only this: "From now on, if you ever hear your name called out on a dark road, do not turn around, no matter what." The box was loaded into a van just as it was. As he was leaving, the old monk looked straight at me and muttered, "That thing wasn't sealed inside. It was waiting." I did not understand what he meant yet. That night, at the workers' lodging, I shut the window and lay down under my futon quilt. I could not sleep. Then, outside, I heard a single crunch on the gravel, just once. After that, someone called my name. It was a low voice. A beat later, another voice joined it, saying the same thing, not quite in sync. Two voices, neither male nor female. I kept my eyes closed until morning. I did not turn toward it. I did not answer.